freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round two recap for this week's BMW Championship. Joining me is Patrick McDonald. And Patrick, it is good to see you again because this is our second podcast of the day.
Yeah, I know we are a daily podcast. First off, it's obviously great to see you as well, Rick. But we're thinking about doing daily doubles from here on out. 14 pods per week. Just really flooding the feeds for the viewers, the listeners, and testing it out before the 25 season.
Would those be considered bi-daily? Is that twice a day or once every 2 days?
Oh man, don't get me started on the biweekly thing. I have no idea what biweekly means.
I think okay, so that biweekly, I think like you get paid biweekly, you get paid once every 2 weeks. So bi-daily has to be once every 2 days.
Okay.
I'm gonna
agree with you.
All right. So what is a term for twice a day?
The daily double.
The daily double. The daily double. The second part of the daily double has just begun, and we did it without Hideki Matsuyama, Patrick, who withdrew this morning before the start of his second round, which was, as you put earlier, not surprising because this is what Hideki does, but disappointing because he was in the mix. One shot off the lead after the opening round. He gone.
Yeah, he is gone. And disappointing when you look at the names ahead of him on the FedEx Cup. He could have, let's see, with 2,000 points, that would have put him at 5,900. That would have gotten him into second place in the FedEx Cup, given him an extra stroke at the Tour Championship. I guess that is the bad news. The good news is he's not going to relinquish that third spot, most likely. Going to stay at 7 under. And yeah, I mean, if you're surprised that Hideki Matsuyama is randomly withdrawing from a golf tournament, I guess my question to you is, have you been paying attention to professional golf for the last decade? This is kind of just what he does. He averages a couple WDs per year. Typically, they come out of the blue. Think about the Wells Fargo Championship this year as well. And he also has a bunch of just crazy, weird things happen to him, from the paint on his 3-wood that, who was it, Patrick Reed called out, I think, back in the day at the Memorial, to just a whole bunch of other stuff. Getting robbed in London, that's kind of weird. Not funny. A little bit, but still kind of weird. And the WDs just add to it.
Yeah, he's the true international man of mystery, Hideki Matsuyama.
Yes.
Yeah, never really know what he's gonna get up to. Well, Hideki is withdrawn, and like Patrick said, almost assuredly going to be in third heading into the Tour Championship. So hopefully this is preventative, and he's ready to rock and roll again for next week, which is the early indication. Speaking of early, Adam Scott went out early and lit this golf course on fire. A 9 under 63 around Castle Pines, going out in 32 and then birdieing 5 of his last 7 to post that number, moving him. I usually save the leader towards the end of the show, Patrick, but I like to go for the guys who went out early. That's both check boxes. This time, Adam Scott is leading through 36 by 3 strokes.
Yeah, it was a great performance from Scotty. Oldest man in the field, I believe, at 44 years of age. Made his debut at Castle Pines in 2000. Nick Dunlap, Akshay Bhatia weren't even born when Scott made his debut. And he's teaching the young guns a thing or two through 36 holes. Today, obviously buoyed by the broomstick, gaining over 4 strokes on the green. Seemed like every time he had a putt from 10 to 20 feet, he was knocking it in. 9 birdies on the card. 6 of those come from outside 10 feet, including a 28-footer, and then the others from that range I just mentioned. So he mentioned afterwards how he was like, someone asked him about his putting, and he's like, I never putt bad. He goes, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "My iron play has been atrocious these last 2 years."
I heard him say, that's what he said. He said for a while. He said for years. I'm like, buddy boy, what are we talking about?
I never putt bad. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, man. You've been pretty bad at putting before. And then he's like, yeah, it's really my iron play. He hit 15 greens today, and you would think the putter, I think he'll still make plenty of putts over the weekend. I don't think at this pace or this quantity from distance. So the iron play might have to improve a little bit, but if he hits the ball like this over the weekend, I think it'll be pretty tough to catch.
Professional athletes are the best at being delusional about their game, their situation, what they're good at, what they're not good at, what's their fault, what's not their fault, all that stuff. Just completely.
Here's a question for you, Rick. How many PGA Tour wins do you think Adam Scott has?
Oh boy. I genuinely have no idea, but I'm gonna guess. God, did he get? I thought he got to the double digit club. I'm gonna say 10.
14.
Wow.
Yes, this would be number 15 for him.
Wow.
Yeah, a tour championship in there. Excuse me, which I mean, I'm too young to remember those days. Obviously, the Players Championship. He's won a Barclays. So a couple playoff events, which are
Riviera was his last.
Yes, in 2020, and then I believe he was also in 22, perhaps a member of that like 6-way playoff at the Wyndham.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, with Kisner, I think Brandon Grace, Kevin Na, Live Golf's Best were also in that.
Real turning point for their careers, I'm sure. Well, Adam Scott out front here, 3 clear. We'll get to his closest chaser in just a second, but we're going to stick with the early movers. Alex Noren was one of them. He has now put up back-to-back 68s to open this BMW Championship. He's second in the field in putting, but he is top 25 in all 4 major strokes gained categories. And right now, along with Adam Scott, who is currently projected to go from 41st to 4th, a big mover in Alex Noren, 45th to now 23rd. So he has, in this moment, gotten himself into the Tour Championship.
Yes, and I believe when we were on air doing the first of our daily doubles, he was 45th to 10th in solo second, which broke my brain. It doesn't take a ton to break my brain, granted, but just with how many people have not won this year from that 4 to 15 range in the FedEx Cup, that a runner-up in a playoff event can move someone from like not even on the bubble, someone who barely got in the field, to inside the top 10 is kind of crazy to me. You mentioned him. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're right. The monopoly that Scotty and Xander have on the points has created a situation where we are seeing so many big moves. And we were talking about this earlier on air, just like so many guys that aren't in normal years could not really get into the Tour Championship are jumping into like legitimately good spots in the Tour Championship.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, honestly. I like the movement. I felt like there wasn't enough movement last week with only 5 or 6 guys moving in and out of the top 50. So I'm glad we're getting some additional movement this weekend. You mentioned Noren's putting. It was great yesterday. Today, not his best effort. I look at that bogey on 13 in particular. Ran a good birdie, looked past about 3 feet, missed the comebacker. And then another shorty there missed on his front 9 summer. I want to say number 6, the par 4. So can clean it up, but from tee to green, he's been pretty stellar this year for Alex Noren, and he's coming off honestly a great year for him. Well-rounded, just didn't really get the win or anything like that, but very consistent, very good, and would be cool for him to get inside the top 30. Yeah,
on the verge of punching his ticket to Eastlake. Wyndham Clark is the fan favorite, and he had the crowd give him more cheers today than he did yesterday. It was a 72 in the opening round, in which he hit like 4 different balls in the water. Much more dry here in the second round. It was a 4 under 68. He nearly made an ace on number 16. He tapped that one in for birdie from just 11 inches. The only non-par that he made in his final 10 holes. Wyndham Clark now moves up into a tie for 10th. But Patrick, the game within the game, drops from 6th to 7th in the FedEx Cup standings. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, yes. I'm looking at it now. Adam Scott to 4th. Another name, no spoilers. Also moving ahead of him. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, it was It was a decent round from Wyndham. It seemed like the golf course was much easier today with the rain overnight and, much more accessible. We saw out there with a lot of low scores and a couple course records, which I don't know if we really want to get into the record book here with the course record. I'm not sure if you saw the PGA Tour comms tweet about it.
It was the most outrageous. I'm going to try to quote it off the top of my head. Okay.
I have it in front of me.
All right. So first off, there was there was an issue of whether or not Adam Scott's 63 was the course record or not, because of this event being played in previous years, but they were using Stableford scoring, which they then finally determined that does not count for the record book. So the tweet says something to the effect of Adam Scott fired a 63 in round 2 of the BMW Championship to set the course record at Castle Pines, which was previously set yesterday by Keegan Bradley's 66, which was previously set earlier this year by Brady Duvall playing with his dad, David Duvall, in the summer or something like that.
That's pretty spot on. Adam Scott fires bogey-free 63 in round 2 of the BMW Championship and sets a new course record at Castle Pines. Keegan Bradley's opening 66 surpassed the 67 shot by Brady Duvall while playing with his dad, David Duvall, on May 23rd this year.
Yeah, I had to read it. Like, I read that 5 times. I was like, what are we talking? Why has this been written like this?
I was about to comment like, wait, I shot 66 on May 24th.
Right. So really it's like, rarely does the PGA Tour acknowledge a non PGA Tour competitive score that has been posted, right? They didn't go to Torrey Pines and say, oh, Tiger Woods shot a 62, which surpasses Joe Blow's 63 from 4 months ago, because this is a public golf course, right? Like, it's weird for them to acknowledge a quote course record that did not happen in PGA Tour tournament conditions.
Yeah, it's like if at Valhalla, when guys were shooting 62, they're like, oh, these guys matched Michael Block's 62 from earlier this year.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Which would be an insane thing to do.
Absurd. Brady Duvall. I wonder if Duvall texted the producers like, hey, heads up.
Definitely.
My son got it.
That's the only way. that happens. Crazy stuff.
Wyndham Clark, though, yes, great round, 4 under. Played basketball against Derek White growing up. I believe he was on like the Turtles as a 10-year-old. They'd guard each other. Both point guards, which honestly a little surprising. The Hamburglar was a point guard. I kind of saw him more of a power 4, stretch 4, but perhaps he grew later in life. But great round for him. 9 back. It's a lot. This leaderboard is spread very thin. 9 back is inside the top 10.
Yes. Yeah. We'll talk more about that in just a bit, but you're absolutely right. There's kind of a weird composition of this leaderboard. I want to get to another 63 that was fired. I wonder if the PGA Tour comms tweeted that out. We've got to talk about the man who's sitting in solo second that we have yet to reveal. And then, of course, the number 1 and number 2 players in the world. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
College football is back. SMU at Nevada on CBS Sports Network.
All right, and we're back. Now, Patrick, after a little bit of a, quote, slump the last 3 starts, nothing horrible, just not his normal, crazy, awesome self. Ludvig Åberg has also just capped off a 63 to tie Adam Scott's round of the day, to tie Adam Scott's course record, to beat Keegan Bradley's course record, to beat Brady Duvall's course record. Ludvig did it, though, with a bogey on the card. Also had an eagle on the par 5 14th. This jumps him up to solo 3rd for the BMW Championship, moves him from 7th in the FedEx Cup standings to 5th. So that is one of the reasons that Wyndham gets bumped down a spot from 6th to 7th, is because Ludvig has usurped him.
He looks like the Terminator in that photo.
It's hard to argue that he's not the Terminator.
Just zero emotion. It's like his brain's telling him, Smile, Ludvig.
Yes.
Smile.
Full of the humans.
Yes. Quick little soft smile. His approach play today, Rick, was I said a few cuss words in appreciation of some shots, especially the one into 14 to set up the eagle. The real yardage per Faxon doing back of the napkin math, he said was 240. I think it was longer than that, considering he was playing 310 yards. Which, yeah, that math doesn't make sense to me.
No,
but
it doesn't.
It was 310, I guess, down the hill a little bit. Fairway wood, inside 10 feet. That drew an audible gasp from me. Really as good as it gets. And the driver, I would say this quote unquote slump over the past month, really ever since losing the 54-hole lead at the Scottish Open. The short game's taken some criticism, but I've been looking at the off the tee numbers. And when he first came off on tour, his off the tee numbers were unbelievable. And they've kind of, I mean, they're still very good, don't get me wrong, but they've kind of dipped a little bit over this past month. And that's something I was keeping an eye on coming into this week. And today, as Ludvig as it gets, right? Hit 10 fairways, led the field in strokes gained off the tee. If he's doing that with his ball striking, I really don't care what his short game is going to do if he hits 15 greens along the way and makes enough putts like he did today.
310 adjusted for altitude is 272. So unless it was like 30 yards downhill, which I doubt, I don't think there's a shot there that is that far downhill.
It was insane.
Yeah. Actually downplaying it, calling it 240 because it was probably playing closer to 270. So 6-6 stuff. Keegan Bradley. That's the man who is sitting in solo second at 10 under par thanks to a 4 under 68. He did bogey the last. It was the only bogey on his card. He did have a a birdie streak on 13, 14, and 15. So now Keegan is trying to make the Billy Ho run, right? He is the last man into the BMW Championship, 50th. If this leaderboard were to stay as it is right now, he would be 11th in the FedEx Cup standings. He would start a handful of shots back at the Tour Championship, but it feels like he is just playing with house money at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Got his round really kick-started there with a 35-footer on number 4, made a nice putt on 10 from about 8 feet. Another nice one on 13 from just about 8 feet, 20-footer on 14 also. And then the one on 15 was great. Didn't take advantage of 17, which is a bit of a bummer, and then came home with that bogey on 18 after missing the fairway, chipping it or trying to hit a 5-iron up towards the green, was about 50 yards short, left rough below the surface, chipped it up there, rolled back down, about 30-yard pitch. That's what I'll remember from this round, Rick, is that on that 30-yard pitch, the 18th hole, Keegan Bradley trying to hole it to remain bogey-free. You know what he did? He used aim point on a 30-yard pitch. Now, I'm fine with these guys using aim point. I've come to terms with it. It's whatever. Do I like it? No, but I will accept it. It is what it is. Everyone's doing it now. It's cool. It's hot fad in the streets. But when you're doing it on 30-yard pitch shots, that's where I think we can draw the line. I think that is fair to say.
I agree with you, but my love for Keegan grows every day. So he is just so himself, right? He is just so unapologetically Keegan Bradley, the quirkiest, coolest little dork you're ever going to find.
That's fair. And I will say he used to be a Travis Matthew boy, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yes.
And so he has a new brand that's it's covered in this photo, but for the longest time, I thought he was just wearing a Boston Common shirt.
Okay, I thought it was a Boston Common shirt too. What is the brand?
It's not. I saw a photo like a month ago. I think it's like Flag and Staff polo company.
Flag and Staff polo company.
No, it's not.
Can't be that.
Flag and Anthem.
Okay. I've never even heard of that.
And I think he's still shelling out DraftKings Rainmakers. Didn't they shut that off?
Yeah. Well, he's still getting, so Rainmakers doesn't exist anymore, but I guess the DraftKings deal still probably runs through the end of the year.
I love that. So, yeah, I'm rooting for him, I guess. Just because it'd be cool be cool to see what Jim Furyk does with a Keegan Bradley who just won. Like, let's make the decision more convoluted.
They are. Keegan is not only an ambassador; he is a model on the website. Okay.
No.
Yeah. So he is modeling some of these polos.
Oh.
This one is called the MVP Kiowa Contrast Collar Mini Stripe Polo, and he is out there repping it.
Kiowa. What did he do at Kiowa?
I don't know.
He didn't win there.
Well, he's also repping one that's called Banner Stars and Stripes, which that makes more sense as the Ryder Cup captain.
Yeah. Okay. Man, there's so many golf apparel companies now.
So many. They can't all be.
It's crazy.
Yeah. We have not.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything else either. We have not mentioned Scotty Scheffler or Xander Schauffele yet because they played poorly. They combined to play this golf course 1 over today. Xander was 1 over. Scotty was even. Xander limped home. He made 4 bogeys in his last 6. Scotty was about as hot as we've seen him throughout his definitely throughout this year, through much of his career, I would imagine. What's the deal with these two?
I took the video that will surely get taken down on Twitter within the next couple hours. Someone replied to the video of Scotty Scheffler going berserk on number 10, which I'll set the scene. He loses T-ball right. He's not happy to begin with because he's not happy coming off the bogey on 9. Loses it right in the rough, hits it in the water, drops, hits his 4th long. Cannot believe there's no backstop there. It's like the first time he's seen this golf course. Cannot believe there's no backstop there. His eyes have deceived him. He thinks it's impossible. How? Who, what, when, where, and what, Rick? How is that possible?
Okay. It's one thing to be like, dude, Ted, like, how does that not do it? How is it not doing it? He starts with the how, and then he just yells, and like as loud as he can, just goes, how?
How? and then an F-bomb under his breath, and then he goes, that's impossible. But someone replied to that tweet, and it was like, I think this guy needs to find Jesus.
Oh yeah, he hasn't found Jesus yet. The other thing is, I love that he's, how is that possible is usually reserved to like, how did the winds not hit that? How did that, like, not usually a physical element of the ground that does not exist that he just simply thought existed. Like how it, because there's not a slope there. That is how, like, you were just actually incorrect about the terrain.
Yeah. How is like Wyndham Clark's putt on the final hole at the Players Championship.
Oof. Yeah, they showed
Like,
that
oh
again.
my gosh, how did that happen?
Right.
Not just there's no slope there. What?
It's like, correct. That is correct. There is no slope there.
I will say regarding Scotty Scheffler's outburst these past couple weeks, because he had one at the St. Jude Championship in the bunker as well. You could think, is the playoff pressure possibly getting to him? Someone who hasn't won the big one before, possibly that's weighing on his mind. He might just be getting a little tired, long season for Scotty. And I think another key point here is these are more amplified because he never plays bad. He's always been like kind of demonstrative on the golf course. He's always been a little, I don't want to say that word. That's a cuss word in my mind. What is the word? Like the female dog-ish. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
Yeah.
Little, let's call it bratty.
Yeah, he's always been a little bratty when he's not playing well.
Okay.
That isn't really that much of a difference. It's just he's on the TV all the time, and we haven't seen him play bad except for Pinehurst. Guess what? He was a little bratty there. We haven't seen him play bad since St. Jude Championship. A little bit, a little bratty there, and he's playing bad this week. A little bratty there. So I don't think it's anything new. It's just he's on the camera all the time, so we're gonna see him.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Also, I think he is. I also think he hates the playoffs, and it's just like this.
Yeah. Can't win the big one. Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills went to 3 straight Super Bowls, correct? And lost
I
them
thought
all.
it was 4.
Oh, okay.
I mean, listen, I'm certainly no historian, but I have access to Wikipedia.
I think it was 3. Or was it the 4 falls? They made a 30 for 30 on it. That was pretty good.
1, 2, 3, 4 in a row.
Wow.
They lost to 91. They lost to the Giants. 92. They lost to the Washington football team. The 93. They lost to the Cowboys, and they lost to the Cowboys again in 94. Wow, the NFC East really whooped them.
Wow. Jimmy Johnson, not Justin Thomas's old caddy.
If I'm reading this correctly, those are the only 4 appearances the Bills have ever had in the Super Bowl.
Dang.
Imagine being like, yo, like if I told you we're gonna go to 4 straight Super Bowls, like this is gonna be sick. It's gonna be such a great run. No.
That's kind of like the Niners. I feel like Niners could make the Super Bowl this year. They're not going to win.
Have the Niners?
That'd be 3. Well, granted, I mean they've won a Super Bowl before, but still. Yeah. I guess it's not the same.
No, doesn't feel the same.
No. Okay, so some, not me, as I play out this bit, are comparing Scotty Scheffler to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, definitely some. Let's see what Vegas has to say about this finish here. And noticeably absent Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele from the odds board, because Adam Scott, as you mentioned, on a very spread out board, is the favorite. 3 clear, he's plus 160. Ludvig 4 back, 3.6 to 1. Keegan 3 back, 5.5 to 1. Then everybody else is 14 to 1 or longer. That is Alex Noren. That's Patrick Cantlay, Pendrith, Connors, Sung Jae, etc., etc., etc.
Scotty Scheffler is going to win this golf tournament.
No. If he does, you can get a number at 50.
12 back.
50 to 1.
That's it. 50 to 1. I will say I do like the brattiness, right? It's a brat summer. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Rick.
I've just found out it's like brat summer. I just found that out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like it, and I hope Scotty continues with it. But unfortunately, he's not going to win this golf tournament. Xander's not going to win this golf tournament. I believe Taylor Pendrith is going to win this golf tournament at 22 to 1, half a dozen back, top 10 in this field on approach and putting. He's going to have to hit 22 fairways this weekend, and if he does, he'll win the golf tournament.
Wow. He's been playing great.
Yeah. What do you think?
I hate this, because last night I was in here and I was like, oh, I love that Adam Scott number. I love the way he's playing, but there's no way he's going to win. He'll probably finish inside the top 5. And now I'm like, oh, crap. Is he actually going to win? I can't win. I think when Keegan's like in it and engaged, he's very interesting.
Yeah.
And this is a golf course that you've got to play out of the fairway. You've got to have good distance control. That's always been his strengths. I think that we're going to get just like a lot of, like, Keegan's going to be talked about a lot with President's Cup, with his play, with Ryder Cup, all that stuff. I think it would go a long way if he could snap off and win this thing. I think he's going to win it.
I think I love Adam Scott. Like,
I know.
One of my all-time, no rooting in the media center, but I will root for Adam Scott. Those guys can take a lap. But Keegan Bradley,
they all root for people. All of them.
I know.
They're all scams.
Complete frauds. Capital Fs. Keegan Bradley winning would just be fantastic for the muddying of the waters, which we live in. We live in muddy waters. So that is something I'm rooting for.
I would love that. I would love that so much. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, no matter what happens after Saturday's round, we'll be here. No matter what happens after Sunday's round, we will be here. And that is all. Any final thoughts? Anything else? Or should we shut it down?
Let's shut it down. Shut it down.
Producer Josh doing all the hard work behind the scenes today. Thank you very much. Patrick McDonald is available at P McDonald CBS, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.